So this is an example of how time actually moves from front to back rather than forward, and you can sometimes see the evidence of it if you're paying attention. So and how it ties into the ego's need to know why something happens rather than just trusting that what's happening is the way it's supposed to be happening, and trying to figure out the why, like why something happened, why did this happen, like it doesn't always have to be that like dramatic. But here's the example. So Lisa and I went to yoga yesterday, and you know she put her mat down. It was in back row middle, back row almost middle, and then I went on the far side of her, right next to her. And then intuitively and instinctively, I just felt like I wanted to go more towards the back corner because it was only one more spot over. And I just pulled my mat over, slid it over, and I was facing the door. And I like being in the corner, setting context, cornerstone, that kind of thing. Not like putting baby in the corner from Dirty Dancing. I like being in the corner though, for sure. It's a good vantage point. And and I was getting resettled, and I was looking at the door, and who walks through the door? And it's Ross from part two. And we were all in the same training together, and it was, it was a good moment. I just kind of giggled when I kind of like chuckled when he walked in the door. I'm like, of course. I mean, that's why I slid my mat over, is to make space for him to show up. Like I literally created the space just by following my intuition. Very interesting, right? And it was a good reunion moment for her and him. They had a really big hug. Of course, I got a hug too. And and later on that night, and I looked at Lisa before we get to that part. I looked at Lisa and I said, she's like, I was wondering why you moved your mat over. I'm like, well, I mean, you have to stop wondering why so much things happen and just trust, right? Because when you do that, you can see this stuff. So I literally made space just by, following my intuition. Later on that night, I was at A Course in Miracles with Joe Tedesco, and we literally talked about the ego's need to know why instead of trusting. And like the why is so important to it. It gets stuck in it. Like, why is this happening? Blah, blah, blah. Instead of just letting things flow and trust and follow your instinct and take care of yourself and invest in yourself and follow vision and follow joy and follow passion. Just follow these things that bring you peace. And the ego just can't stand it. The ego's like, why? But what I noticed is like the moment I heard it in class at A Course in Miracles, I saw, it's like, oh, well, yeah, okay, so this conversation generated the previous things. It's like we went backwards. So it was pretty neat. I thought it was cool.